Can you hear me?
I can hear you now that I have my headphones on. Hey, can you hear me?
Let's see. What have I got going here?
No. Testing
I
1,
can't.
2, 3. No sound.
What's going on?
It's not on my end. I hear you fine. Can you guys all hear me in the comment section? Dave and Callie.
Not hearing you. So I am going to do this.
We can all hear you, Joel. Poor Joel. My phone is ringing. Why is somebody calling me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
And I can't hear you for some reason. Here we go.
I am answering a phone call. I don't know what somebody's calling. Now I can't hear you.
Really?
Hello?
Input.
Who's this? You called me. Who'd you call?
Yeah, because I'm calling back. This is Joe.
Oh, I didn't call you. Sorry. Somebody must have hacked our numbers or something because I did not make a call. My name's Michael.
Are we on?
We are live.
Live with all this.
You can hear me?
Show.
You can hear me now? Okay, good.
Yes.
No, this people love sitting in and watching us fumble and bumble and figure out what the heck's going on.
Do they really? Okay.
Well, this crowd does.
This crowd. Okay.
All right.
Glare here. So
well, we got Dave from Cali, Dave Knott in Cali, a long time, and one of the OG guys is in the comment section. Good to see him. Everybody's piling in
I
here.
haven't checked out comments yet. Too busy getting my act together.
Yeah, well, Mitch has it right here.
Gremlins, yeah, for sure. As people of faith, we blame gremlins.
Yeah. Well, there are times when things happen, and it's like, okay, I was supposed to not do this, or I was supposed to do that. Sometimes there's these things that nudge us in a direction.
Hey, it's all what I always say to my wife. It's all. I think that's how I describe the internet. To me, it's just gremlins flying through the air. I don't think there's a better explanation for it. Put it that way.
Oh, let me show you something. Hold on. We got an event coming up, sir. Right? Yeah, a big event coming down your way.
Oh yes. Meaning,
let's see,
that beautiful church down here. Wow, where do you see it?
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta find the flyer.
That's at the end of the month, right?
It's on June 30th, Sunday at 12:30. I'm looking. Where's the flyer?
St. Sarkis.
Here it is. Oops, I have the wrong one. Yeah, it's St. Sarkis. All right, I gotta email the flyer to myself because I want to show it to everybody that's watching. This is the world premiere.
I haven't seen the flyer yet, so
yeah, that's what I'm gonna do here. I have it downloaded. I have it in my phone, and I'm going to. Where is it? There it is. Is this the right one? Yeah. All right. Send to myself. Receive in my email inbox. Come on. There it is. And pull it up. There it is. And share. All right. Hold on. Is it? Yeah, there it is. All right. I'm going to show you guys. Oops. What's going on here? Oh, that's what's going on. Hold on. I'll have it for you in a second. Gremlins. All right. Here we go. Add to stage. Is there better zoom in? All right. Here's the flyer.
Okay. See if I can enlarge all this.
All right, I'll just read it for you,
I got it. Yeah.
Join us for an afternoon with Michael E. Gavlak, Emmy Award-winning producer. In 2017, Michael heard of the story of Solomon Tellerian's landmark court case. Unfamiliar with this history, I'm squinting too. He embarked on a journey that led him to the 88-year-old son of Solomon Tellerian. Remarkably, Michael was granted exclusive rights to tell Solomon's life story by his children with the mandate, tell his story. There. This is a pretty sharp looking flyer here.
Yeah, but I have a question. Who's the good-looking, clean-cut guy in the middle?
You know,
Under your name, I don't get it.
That is a bit of false advertising. It is a bit of false advertising.
This is show business after all. Yes,
it has crossed my mind. And well, I had one of my friends, a guy who knows about the project, and when he saw that picture, he's like, "You look evil in that picture. You need to get another headshot." And I'm like, I've been using this headshot for 6 years. It's like,
yeah, no, that's actually the Michael Gavlak I met about 6 years ago.
The crazy guy.
6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, you do have a little bit of a Bond villain look.
Yeah.
It, I don't know.
Let's see.
It's a serious subject. Yes.
Oops. I was zoomed. Where'd I go? There I am. Yeah. Oh, there. We can scroll this. Oops. What am I doing? All right. But she did an amazing job on this.
That's good. Yeah. Looks really good.
And that is my chief of staff is what I'm calling her. So for your information, I don't know last time we updated where we were at, but I now have a chief of staff. I mean, that's what she does for a living.
You had mentioned that you'd found someone that could basically manage things for you, tell you where you needed to be, who you need to call, all that stuff. With me at the top of the list. I'm sure you told her, hey, Pierre's number one. Okay.
Well, I have told her about you.
Okay.
You're part of the staff, right? She's chief of staff. She has to know who the staff is.
Yeah.
But I'm
one of the 12, the one who will be sitting at your right hand, right? You promised, I think.
Yes. You at my right hand and Ara at my left.
No, I'm not sure I can replace Ara. I think you got to have I'll step aside for Ara.
Well, here's the thing is her name is Christine, and she is a friend of Ara's as well. Ara has, for as the rough edges that he has, the guy is absolutely a gift from God to me and to this project. And so are you. It's like God keeps bringing in these important people that all kind of self-appoint themselves to be attached to this project. And that is my job. Part of my job is making sure everybody recognizes their importance, and that development just takes a long time, right? And there's a lot of waiting, right? Sometimes it's years waiting, but it and that's, people don't understand. It's fine. And people say, I'll believe it when I see it. And I'm like, okay, because you will see it at some point. So when you see it, then all that belief will come right to fruition.
Yeah.
Christine she's runs political campaigns. She's working on a documentary out of Germany right now. So she's kind of straddling that fence for politics and entertainment industry. And she's like, I don't want to do politics anymore. I'm like, okay, welcome aboard.
It is a bit of a bog and a swamp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even more so now. So
and she's Armenian, and this coming into her world, it just kind of she's carved out a distinct spot in her schedule. Like, that's a big deal for somebody who's as busy as her. And she articulated this yesterday. She said, some people don't understand that when I give a time that I'm available, that it's not flexible.
Right.
It's very specific. Like, I will be available at 12:30 on Sunday, right, for an hour or two. that's what you get. And you can't call back and say, can we do it at 3? It's like, no, I told you when I am available. Right. It's like some people's schedules are that tight, like mine is much like that. So for her to carve out Tuesday nights at her home, and she cooks and feeds everybody who comes physically to the meeting. So it's like something that I knew was going to start happening at some point and needed to happen. And boom, she says, well, I'm glad you don't mind coming here. I'm like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? This is what, this is a huge godsend, because when you have those in-person meetings set on the calendar, fixed, and everybody has marching orders each week, it's like, you got to make progress, and the progress will be exponential. And so we had a great meeting last night, and she got the flyer done, and work on the messaging and the strategies. And she's like, you and I have to have a meeting with this person. I'm like, yes, we do. So good meeting last night. Do you have any questions, Joel? Because I can go into me, I can go and go and go.
Yeah. Well, I actually, and you were by faith stating that you were going to meet with finance, the money people, and so we're trusting God for that too. And
that's what these meetings are. Well, her role is to get me focused so that when we talk to money, it's focused.
There you go. Because they don't want to. They don't want to talk about anything else. If they're going to, that's what these guys do. Guys like that do. If they're going to put their money for it, they want to know that you better be on spot, man. You better be
right
on things.
So last night, the marching order for both of us, Christine and I, and Stephen Lawrence, our marching orders have a 5-page pitch deck, right? A 5-page pitch deck done, or at least the first draft, by the next meeting. I'm like, oh, that's huge, because that's the thing that the investors will see. And that's focus. What is, messaging, 5 pages. Let's get straight to the point. What do we, and part of the issue is there's a big project, but then there are these phases, right? The money comes in phases. When it's a big project, you don't go for, $1 billion with your next pitch meeting, right? It's okay. What do we need money for immediately, and outline that, and what does this investor get or giver, right? So are we at the point of getting investors yet? Well, if we meet with them, we'll articulate that to them. But we also have a 501c3 through one of the people on the team who's ready, who could take just gifts, somebody comes in, say a billionaire comes in, I want to give $50,000 tax write-off. We can take it instantly, right? And so those are the things that have to be clearly outlined in the pitch deck. And part of the meeting last night, one of the people who came was her expertise is executive management, and she's wanting to handle my calendar, my list of contacts, etc., which is critical in this. And she's like, I know this rich person, I know that rich person, this is a family friend rich person, I want to go to these people, I want to talk to them about this project, I want to see, and it's for people like her, and there's a lot of people like that associated with the project that are ready, like, I want to take this and share it with people. Like, okay, good. The energy is there, the connections are there now. And I anticipate by the end of this month, June, we're going to have a pitch deck ready and be pitching to actual money. So,
that's good. That's a timeline goal, and like you said, something to focus on. So good. And I've been waiting for that, quite honestly.
Yeah,
that's right. I pinged you a little bit last night. You talked about the money. You talked about talking to people with money.
I
think I might have missed something. Can you
speak in faith, right?
Yeah. By faith. Oh, okay. Well, never down. So, and not that that's what this is, right? And it's been from day one. It's been an effort of faith on your part and everyone with you. And it was really, when I met you, it was just you, right? I don't know that there was anybody else 6 years ago.
Well, there was my historian and my business.
7?
At that time, I had my first investor and I had my
Oh, okay.
historian. So there's a lot of team members that are behind the scenes that have no idea about you or about what's going on, because they're living their lives. They know what I'm working on. They've made their contributions. They know that they'll come back
Okay.
into play once. So there's this big sprawling team that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So when I met you, it was certainly a much smaller team, but it's come a long way. By the way, there's somebody in the comment section making a comment on you, Joel. I don't know if you saw this. They're making a comment about you. You look very unprofessional, Joel.
Oh, was that me? Yeah, you're right.
You look very unprofessional.
I let it go, and it starts
Unkempt.
I'm sure it's up to 3/8 of an inch right now. That's just
all right. Well,
I'll try and be better.
You're
I'll
blowing
trim
it.
my beard up a little bit too, because it's kind of shaggy.
You're
Apparently,
blowing it, man.
I know. Well, you're
Yeah,
moving
here's
and
what-
you're moving and shaking with the Hollywood types. I'm just down here.
Well, we're together. We have a normal amount of hair. All right.
That's true.
You just average us out.
Yeah, for half an hour, I feel normal.
All right. Well, let me give you some updates. Let's see. What was the last thing that you remember? Let's see. Let me look at my phone and I'll just share with you some of the. Usually, if I look at my my texting back and forth to people, it jogs my memory. Oh, okay.
Well, who's the gentleman up that way I saw that was asking you the tough questions last week? He's one of your regular guys, gray hair, dark glasses. He was asking you some pretty tough questions about the project.
When was this?
Well, last week, one of the last Wednesday podcast, I think.
Oh, was it Ross?
Yes, it was Ross. I enjoyed that. Ross had some good.
Oh,
Ross stole all my thunder. Put it that way, maybe.
Okay, good. So Ross,
after he got done grilling you, I'm like, oh, everything I could think to ask was in that one. So if you guys didn't see it, go back to last Wednesday.
So yeah, last Wednesday's chat session. Ross has been a friend of mine since actually before I started on this project. We met at a men's group that meets once a month. That is, there's this men's group that meets. That's been meeting for like 25 years. So these guys have history with each other. And it's like when I got invited, it was like getting invited to this exclusive thing. And really anybody can come, but it's like you're stepping into a circle of intimacy and spirituality, right? These are all most of Christian. You don't have to be Christian to go there, but you become really close with some complete strangers when you go to these things, and you make friends. And Ross and I had a lot in common and hit it off, and he took interested in this project. And he's actually, for your information, Joel, one of the hosts on This Way Network. So he has the Tuesday chat session.
No, I've seen him.
Okay,
him and his partner.
All right, who he is.
Yeah,
Travis. Yeah.
Travis. Yeah.
All right. So
I think I was supposed to be on the show with him one time. We had technical difficulties, so I haven't technically met him, but looking forward to it. So
great guy. When I went to the Eclipse in Texas, I don't know if you recall. I went to a specific event, and I knew Ross was going to be there. He didn't know I was going to be there. So I walk up to him in the cafeteria at the event, and I'm like, hey, and he's like, what are you doing here? And there was another guy from this men's group that was there as well. So while I was there for the Eclipse, Ross introduced me to another friend of his who came along, and this guy's Armenian, and a guy named Ted. And so I become friends with Ted. In fact, Ross and Ted and I went out to dinner last week, I think it is. And actually, let me put it this way. Ted apparently he goes to the Armenian Apostolic Church, and he's well respected in his particular church. I showed up at an event. It was the first time I'd been it happened to be at his church. They were putting on an event. I show up at an event, and he sees me from across the room. He's like, hey, I'm so glad you're here. And he starts introducing me to people. And stop me if I've told you this one. He introduced me to a little old lady in her 90s.
See the one that said, an outsider should tell the story?
No, but that
okay.
so that helps me know where
Right.
you've been updated. I did tell you. So no, this was just an amazing, lucid, everything looks like she's just fine and she's in her 90s. And
She's doing better than me.
they said, you've got to meet this Marguerite. You have to meet Marguerite. And I'm like, of course I have to meet Marguerite. So she's like, oh, I've got to tell you, when I was in my 20s, I had a friend who was a musician, or I can't remember if she said we were musicians, both of them were musicians, or her friend was a musician. And we went up to San Francisco. We were just on a trip to San Francisco. And my friend said, do you want to meet Zavin, the concert master, the violinist at the San Francisco Opera, San Francisco Symphony and the Symphony Opera? Do you want to meet Zavin? And she's like, sure, let's meet Zavin. So they go over to Zavin's house, and there's an old guy sitting in the other room, and she remembers distinctly talking to him, and he was just asking me questions about my family and where we're from, and when I was telling him about, oh, I have a great uncle that's from the home country, blah blah blah. He says, well, when you see that great uncle, tell him that you met Soghomon Tehlirian. And she goes, oh, okay, I'll tell him. So she's Armenian, but she's American Armenian, and this is back in the 50s. In the late 50s, so she said, yeah, then eventually when I did run into that great uncle, I told him that I had met someone named Soghomon Tehlirian, and he goes, and he educated me on who this person was. And so, so I just met her a couple weeks ago, and that's because of Ted, Ross's friend, right? This is how these things are happening. I've just been, and actually Marguerite, now that you mention it, I said, Marguerite, I need to come to visit you, and I need you to tell that story on camera. I need to have you repeat everything you just said, just on camera. I need to document this. She says, oh, okay. And she gives me a couple dates, and she said the 5th or the 7th. So today being the 5th, my son graduates from high school today, so I'm not going to be able to do it today.
Oh, really?
I think on Friday, I'm going to be visiting Marguerite and recording her. Another update, and this is directly related to the Tuesday meetings. So the Tuesday meetings, I get my marching orders. One of my marching orders in last Tuesday's meeting was, you need to go interview Suzanne, Zavin's widow, right? You need to interview her on camera, because Suzanne is the matriarch of the family, right? She is now the only Tehlirian in that generation. And I even said this to her technically because her last name's not Tehlirian, but I said to her, ironically, Suzanne, you're the most important Tehlirian alive right now. She kind of laughed. But my marching orders from Christine, my chief of staff, is you have to get her on camera saying all the things you're saying, that you are the one that they have chosen to tell Soghomon's story. I
had thought of that too. I don't know, maybe I assume you defer to her as much as possible, and if she wants to or not. But she's not shy about getting on the phone and telling anyone on the air that you're the chosen one here. So
right. It's the being on camera part that has been that kind of a sticking point, and that was the case with Zavin. In fact, probably my second time visiting Zavin, this is fully almost 700 years ago now. My second time, I said, hey, I want to schedule a time to come up here and bring a couple of camera guys and interview. And he's like, no, none of that. And I'm like, oh, darn. But I'm like, okay, I have to defer to you.
Sure.
But soon after that, on my visits, I whip out my phone and I just start recording him. And he knows I'm recording him. He keeps talking. He doesn't stop me. I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to be. I get to record you, but you don't want me bringing a crew of people and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get it. So I deferred to him in that regard. But now he's passed, and Suzanne understands the importance of this. And I said to her, I'm going to bring a camera guy. I'm going to bring, and here's the thing that blows my mind, that excites me, that like shows me that this is moving, is I have a Armenian friend from work. Now that 5-minute video, you've seen the 5-minute video that's on assassinsaint.com. It's the behind the scenes trailer, right?
Yes.
There's a woman that's one of the talking heads on that. In it, she
Mhm.
says, to Armenians, Soghomond's memoir is a holy book, right? That's one of the lines she says. That's my friend at work, my Armenian producer friend, who's the first person. When you talk about a team being assembled, she was the first person on my team. Like, she is the one who pointed me in this direction. She took me on Wikipedia, and so for her, and she's been waiting 7 years for stuff. And when I told her what's going on, she came to the Tuesday meeting last week. She would have been physically at the Tuesday meeting last night if she didn't have a job or a work obligation. She is going with me to interview Suzanne. She is going to produce the interview. That's what she does for a living. She's a news producer. She just produces interviews, and like, that's what she does. She's coming. I told her, you're gonna come with me to see Soghomond's only living daughter, right? Last living daughter, right? Daughter-in-law, but daughter, right? That's
Right,
the
yeah, sure.
generation. And she's like, yep, I'm coming. And she's like, I gotta move some things around in my schedule, but I'll be there. I'm like, oh my God, it's just gonna be amazing. So that's happening Sunday. So I'm driving up, and she's going to fly up, and I'll pick her up at the airport. But I'm driving up because I have a camera guy going with me, and I want him to document, like, this is the life Michael has had in the last 7 years, as he gets in his car and drives and visits Soghomond's monument in Fresno, and then he goes and visits Soghomond's son, or his son and daughter-in-law. Like that. That's kind of telling my story is parallel, obviously, to telling Soghomond's story. And
Right.
here we're getting this significant moment. We're going to get her on camera talking about me and the project. And Saro is how they refer to Soghomond. That was their affectionate name, Saro,
Okay.
Saro. So there's some updates.
Sounds good. Things are moving at breakneck speed as usual, right? But I mean, is not this how these things get done? Right?
It's hard to communicate to people who don't understand production development, right? Or these project development is this long process, and the bigger the project is, the longer it takes. And so,
yeah, and it's maddening too, unless you know the process. Like, I was co-producer of a film with Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla,
right.
and it started from a meeting in 2015. It was going to be this, and by the time it got released in 2019, it was unrecognizable.
Yeah,
but and delays and changes in script and changes in personnel and one writer here and new script and
new investors come in,
new
and new
investors came in.
influential, and other thing. And for that, what you were doing was a documentary, and so it's like circumstances happen in reality in the world that you've got this momentum with the project. Well, let's transition over or add or move direction. And that's what happened with this. For me, I thought it was a movie, right? And then I thought it was a trilogy. And then I thought, no, you can't even tell. You can barely scratch the surface. Even with 3 movies, you can barely scratch the surface. Has to be done. And it just occurred to me. And when I pitched the project to Armenians and I say, it's a series, it's 4 seasons, they go, huh? And then they go, right? They're like, right? They're like, wait, telling the whole story, you have to. And I'm like, it starts with the Hamidian massacres. That's the first episode. And then Bank Ottoman, and then the rise of the Young Turks. And then, right? They're like, yeah, that's the only way to do it. People couldn't possibly grasp this full history.
And it did take an outsider, like you're saying. It. Now, the more I hear that, and more that I'm right, it makes more sense because, you're not part of that community, which makes you an outsider, but it also makes you the perfect person with your connection to it to tell that story. And you're above, at least the ethnic or the ties. That's not your history. So you can, obviously you have your bias, in a perfect world, there's the Turkish side and there's the Armenian side. And obviously you're on one side, but at the same time, someone outside can say, hey, I've looked at it objectively, and here's the story. It was your story. Like you say, you had the story for 100 years and you didn't tell them because they didn't know how to tell.
Right.
They couldn't step back.
They were so close to it. They were so close to all the incredible stories. It's like, I could tell this story, that story, and every one of them would be incredible. But you got to tell one to break.
But only an outsider. Well, an outsider at 10,000 feet could think, oh, here's how the story goes together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And with that,
and that with
Joel,
that,
we're out of time.
that's a wrap.
All right. Love you,
right.
brother. Good
You
to
too,
see you.
man.
And
See you next time.
June
Thanks,
30th,
everyone.
and maybe the next time I see you, June 30th, coming down.
Yep.
Your neck
Come
of the
on
woods.
down.
All right. I'll email you this flyer and you can share it around with your locals, friends, anybody down there. All right.
Do it.
Love
All
you.
right.
Bye, everybody.
You too. Thanks, everyone.